Hi, I'm Veronica Sutherland. I am a parenting coach and I'm also the mother of two young adults, one a severely autistic young lady and the other a young engineer. I have also taught family and consumer ed for over 35 years. I spent some of that time training teachers how to teach family education as well. I'm happy to be a part of this Parents Who Know Summit, and I will be sharing with you some of the tips I have learned over the years, both as a mother and as a parenting educator. My topic, raising strong, purposeful children. To raise strong, purposeful children, we have to be intentional. Children are like cakes. We must know as parents what we expect from them and provide the right ingredients in the right environment for them to develop the way we want them to. And cakes come in many flavors. And it's the same with children. No two children are alike. And so what works for one will not necessarily work for another. And so we have to vary the way we treat children. We have to know our children and know what works for which one. Also, children learn better by osmosis. They learn by their interaction with others, whether they be other children or they be adults in the home or outside of the home. And so we know what we want from our children. We will have to be the example of what we expect from them. And so, in other words, we have to model what we want them. Strong, purposeful children exhibit four major characteristics. These are good health, they communicate well, they have strong faith in God, and they enjoy rich relationships with others. As parents, if we want our children to have good health, we must pay attention to these areas. What we eat, we must move, and we must rest. Food is the best thing to give us a healthy life. And so if we expect our children to thrive, we are going to feed them whole, real, fresh, unprocessed food. Whole food, food that is as the Lord made it. Food that you go to the plant and you pick, and that's whole food. Or food that comes straight from the animal. That is real food as well. It's not something that somebody goes into a factory and makes up. It is fresh, freshly picked, or stored in such a way that it has not lost its nutrients, and it is unprocessed. It has not been through any process to make it differently. Or they should have lots of fruits and vegetables with colorful phytonutrients. And the phytonutrients are those nutrients that fight diseases. And so the more colorful your food is, the more you have these flavonoids and these beta nutrients that will fight diseases and protect us from getting sick. We should feed our children foods that represent the colors of the rainbow. We should also feed them foods with plenty fibers so that it can move through their system easily. We should eat foods that contain omega-3 fats. Omega-3 fats helps to fight inflammation, and it is said that inflammation is the base of all diseases. And so if we are feeding them foods that contain omega-3 fats, they should be fighting diseases, or they should be protecting their bodies against diseases. And some foods that are rich in omega-3 are avocado, pears, sardines, nuts, salmon, and fish oils. Mackerel is also a good source. Feed our children lean protein. We don't want to be feeding them fatty foods because they are just going to get fat, and all the chronic diseases, the lifestyle diseases, are as a result of having too much fat in the body. And so we want them to be building strong muscles so that they can carry their bodies around well. They can move well. They can think well. And lean meat, lean poultry, nuts are all good sources of lean protein. Water, 2/3 of the body is made up of water. So you can appreciate that we need to be drinking lots of water. It is recommended that you drink half your body weight in pounds, half of that in ounces of water. So if your child weighs 50 pounds, you divide 50 by 2, which gives you 25, and you give them 25 ounces of water per day, which would be equivalent to about 3 8-ounce glasses of water each day. We need to feed up on unsweetened fruit and or vegetable juice. We don't want to be adding sugars to our food, whether they be fruit juices or otherwise. We don't want to be adding sugar. Sugars cause type 2 diabetes when we have too much sugar. And so it is best if we have our fruit juices or vegetable juices without added sugar. And I only recently started having my juices without sugar, and I have been wondering why I've been adding sugar over the years, because it is just so refreshing. And we get so much more nutrients from these freshly squeezed juices. Now, there are some foods that challenge our health in the same way that we have foods that build our health. There are foods that we ought to avoid or stay away from them. Simple sugars are examples of these foods. Glucose, granulated sugar, clear sugar. Those sugars contain just sugar. They have no added nutrients. They are empty calories. So when you feed on them, you're just getting added calories, and added calories are stored in our bodies as triglycerides. And in other words, they're stored as fat. And so we don't want to be giving our children foods that are just going to be stored as fat. Refined carbohydrates are the same thing, the white rice and the white flour. It is said that when we refine any plant, we refine it to its essence. The essence is a white powder. And or white sugar, white rice, and white flour are that white substance. And the white substance is usually a drug, which we get addicted to. And research is showing that sugar, white flour, etc., are highly addictive, especially the sugars. High fructose corn syrup is something else that we should try to avoid, because it is just contributing to type 2 diabetes. Artificial sweeteners came into being because people were trying to come up with substances to prevent persons from having type 2 diabetes, but it has been found that the artificial sweeteners also contribute to type 2 diabetes. We should avoid foods with more than 5 ingredients on the label. It means that this is something that human beings have made up. And usually it is processed, highly processed, and the nutrients have been depleted during the processing. Also, those phytonutrients that we spoke about earlier that fight diseases, they are also kill the enzymes that help to rid our bodies of diseases. Food coloring is something else we should avoid, as well as preservatives. It has been found that both are carcinogenic, they cause cancer, and so we should be avoiding them. We should not be feeding these things to our children. We should also avoid trans or hydrogenated fats. These are oils that have hydrogen added to them. We should also avoid most animal fats because they are saturated fats which contain cholesterol. We should avoid these high-calorie drinks as well, sodas and sweetened fruit drinks. These sweetened fruit drinks have very little fruit in them. They have mostly sugar and water. And remember, we said sugar contributes to type 2 diabetes, as well as it is stored in the body as fat. Sports drinks are sugar, water, and they're high in caffeine. And we don't want to be giving our children caffeine. Diet drinks also contain the sweeteners that we spoke about earlier that also contribute to type 2 diabetes. And our children are not too young to have type 2 diabetes. We must move. We must encourage our children to move. And we can do things that we enjoy as a family. Move together, walk together, run together. You can dance, you can do step aerobics, you can swim, you can bicycle, you can do games together, but have some fun things where you can move around and burn calories and build strong muscles and strong bones in the process. Rest is something that in our modern world we just don't do enough of. We think of rest as something that we do when we are exhausted. We have done all the things that we need to do, and then we just rest. We don't have a choice but to rest. Rest is something that we should be intentional about. If we really want to have as much energy as we can, rest is important to give us that energy that we need to go on. It is during rest that our body is rejuvenated. The toxins are removed during rest. Our cells are repaired during rest. New cells are brought in during rest, and old cells are taken out of the body. So we need our rest. And so you should take regular breaks to relax during the day, and you should get 8 hours of sleep at night. Encourage your children to sleep at nights, or at least 8 hours. We want our children communicating well because their success depends on good communication. It is important that they understand each other's words, emotions, and feelings. The difference between emotions and feelings is that emotions are those queasy, an emotion is a queasy feeling that you feel in your stomach. It's a physical response to a stimulus. And feelings are the mental response that we give to that physical response. And so when we feel that queasy feeling, we may feel fear, or we may feel happy or sad. Those are feelings. Some basic principles of communicating well. As parents, this is how we can help our children to communicate well, and how we can communicate with them as well. We must be available. Our children must feel that they can come to us at any time with any problem that they have, and we are willing to sit and listen. So if we are in the middle of something, we should be willing to stop and listen to their concerns. We should also be readily available to hear whatever is affecting them. We should be willing to help them to express their feelings and their emotions. They should feel that they can come to us with just about anything, and we are not going to be judgmental. We are going to listen, and we are going to help them to overcome their problems. And one of the ways we can do this is, while we're doing our chores, we have them work alongside us. So they're not just learning the chore, but you also have a relaxed time with them when you can learn about what is happening in their lives, and they can learn about life from you. So while you are chopping the onions, they are slicing the tomato, and you're having a conversation, a relaxed conversation. We should use age-appropriate language. We use simple language when the children are young, and when they get older, we use more complex language. And so a young child, you show them what to do. You speak about showing. But for an older child, you may speak about demonstrating something or illustrating. You must be positive. Remember that idiom about sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. That's not true. Words hurt. They hurt, and they hurt deeply. And so we shouldn't say negative things to our children. I remember spending time with one of my relatives, and I asked her a question which she didn't have the answer for. And her response was, "Don't ask stupid questions." And for me, although she was one of my relatives that encouraged me and told me I was a bright young lady, etc., but that evening stuck with me for a while. And I just didn't ask questions. Even now, there are times when I should ask a question and I hold back. All because somebody told me don't ask stupid questions. So you should be positive with your children. Don't tell them negative things. Look at the positive. Answer all your children's questions truthfully. If you do not know the answer, tell them that you don't know. Don't tell them something that is not truthful. When they find out, and note I said when they find out, they are going to be trusting you less than they usually do. That trust that you would have built up with them would have been broken down. So tell them you will find out the answer, or ask them if they want to help you to find out what the answer is, but always be truthful to them. Watch for your child's body language as well, and the tone of voice that they use. They may say everything is okay, and yet they are slouching, and the spark has gone out of their eye, and the mouth look droopy. Their whole body movement is slouchy, which suggests that they are sad. So don't just trust the words that are coming out of their mouths. Look at how they are moving, watch their gestures, etc. And you too should watch your body language that you use with your children. You want to build strong faith in your children, and so the daily family devotions are important. Each person should pray, have them read the Bible, and reflect on the reading. So it's the whole family that is interacting in that family devotion, and let them interact according to their age, but whether they are young or older, let them participate in the devotion. Also encourage them to have a daily quiet time for themselves with the Lord, where they read their Bible and they talk to God, listen to what He has to say to them, and encourage them to keep a prayer journal where they record what they have asked God for and when the answer comes to their prayers. And also during that quiet time that they have with them? What are some of the thoughts that come to them through the Spirit? And you should pray for and over your children. Very important. Keep praying for them, asking God to keep them, cover them with the blood. Keep praying that they will listen to God's Spirit. And you don't just pray for them when they are not there. You pray with them, touch them, and bless them. Pray for them. Let them know that you are thinking about them. We are wired for companionship as human beings. God made us that way, that we want to share our lives, our emotions, our feelings with others. And so too our children. And so we should encourage our children to be friendly to others. And you shouldn't just encourage them to be friendly to others. You should know their friends. Let them take them home so that you can interact with them and you know who your children are hanging out with. Encourage your child to be kind. Share their things with others. Share their toys. Share their food, etc. To learn to interact with others in a kind manner. Show empathy, to think about others' feeling. How would you feel if somebody laughed at you because of your accent or because of the clothes that you wear? And encourage them to be loving towards each other, towards you, towards their siblings, and towards other family members. And some key things I hope you will take away from this presentation are that children learn better by osmosis. They should eat whole foods, plenty fruits and vegetables, avoid processed foods, move daily, rest, help your children to express their thoughts, emotions, and feelings, be positive, have daily family devotions, pray for and over your children, and that we are wired to seek companionship and to know your children's friends. So you may get a free copy of Parenting God's Way at the link that is on screen at the moment. Thank you for listening. Decide on the goals you want for your children and be intentional about getting them there, remembering that you must model the characteristics you want them to adopt.